The Enneagram instincts describe the most basic ways we function in our daily lives. The pattern normally goes that we operate out of one primary instinct, then our secondary instinct really just serves the first, and the last instinct is usually repressed due to some formative experience we had growing up. So the three instincts are the self-preservation instinct, the social instinct, and the sexual instinct. I'm going to start things off with the self-preservation instinct because selfishly, that's the one I lead with. Self-preservation ones are focused on hard work that brings material security, like a nice home, a reliable paycheck, and physical health. They tend to suffer from anxiety a lot more than other type 1s, and this can make them look like type 6 loyalists. However, 1s are afraid that their security will be threatened by making a bad decision, rather than the 6's fear that they have no one to protect them from external threats. Self-preservation 1s are also by far the most stereotypically clean and tidy, and I can speak from experience there. They obsess over personal hygiene and wellness practices like taking lots of vitamins, supplements, or joining exercise programs. However, when overstressed, the self-preservation instinct can actually self-sabotage, and 1s will start binging on late-night fast food, ice cream, alcohol, or other serious drugs, depending on their level of health. This creates a push-pull lifestyle that's often driven by a system of rewards and punishments. You ate that pint of ice cream, now go punish yourself on the treadmill. The idea of pleasure for the sake of pleasure makes self-preservation 1s very uncomfortable. They much prefer periods of poverty or adversity because it gives their anxiety something real to focus on. When they get comfortable or achieve some level of success or luxury, they can be filled with a sense of impending doom or foreboding joy, as Brené Brown calls it, and that's because they expect life to be inherently difficult. Remember, they're moral creatures at heart, so there's always the right thing to do, and self-indulgence rarely feels like the moral right thing to do. Lastly, self-preservation 1s can often get caught up in catastrophic thinking, which just means they feel like one mistake could lead to a massive and permanent setback. Like if they quit that job they hate, they could end up having to live out of their car and never recover financially. This is one behavior that stems from the disintegration to the unhealthy side of type 4 individualists. Ultimately, though, self-preservation 1s often create stable homes that they use to launch out into the world to help those in need of hospitality, generosity, and warmth. Okay, let's talk about the social instinct for type 1s. Social 1s are highly motivated to promote their beliefs amongst their friends, family, and the broader community. They believe more than any other instinctual variant that their beliefs are objectively good and right and true. They like to speak up for people that they feel are being mistreated or for causes they believe will benefit others. All of the issues that social 1s fight for are rooted in their strict sense of morality and attachment to rules and procedures. Social 1s are the true crusaders of the bunch. They like to expose and attack injustice. Now, all 1s are strongly opinionated, but social 1s will more readily argue their perspective and can be seen as downright combative. They may seem like they can never be wrong, but they actually do value others with strong convictions, and that's why they can often be found partnering with type 8 challengers. However, when it comes to intimate relationships, social 1s do expect that those closest to them will agree and promote all of their core values. In their unhealthier states, they can use their strict sense of moralities to keep others away and protect themselves from evil. Sometimes they wind up in extreme political or religious groups that condemn others in mainstream society and can be filled with outrage to the point that they just never stop ranting about the imperfections of humanity. Oddly enough, social 1s are the most sensitive to critique. They really want to be seen as good boys and good girls by their community. Their greatest fear is of being caught doing something privately that they said publicly they were against. Essentially, just being a hypocrite. Ultimately, though, social 1s do have a great gift for building and mobilizing groups of people to do great things in society, as well as just being able to create long-lasting friendships with quality people. Okay, last but not least is the sexual instinct. Sexual 1s are all about having the perfect soul mate. They have totally unrealistic expectations about what their romantic partner should be, as well as what their best friends should be. They're also relational minimalists, so they only need the perfect 1 or 2 people to carry them through life. This is why their standards for relationships are so much higher than other type 1s. They dream of a partner that will help build the perfect committed relationship where both parties are equally hell-bent on personal growth. Ironically, sexual 1s will often find a mate that they believe they can fix or mold into that perfect person. And so in the lower levels of health, which is almost always 1s when they're younger, they tend to date or marry type 4 individualists because that's where they go in unhealth and they recognize all of their weaknesses in the 4. And so they try and fix the 4 as a way to avoid fixing themselves. Sexual ones will constantly project their high moral standards and work ethic onto those around them, and that's because they fear that the flaws of their loved ones will destroy the perfect harmony they seek to create within their relational ecosystem. Sexual ones can also be extremely jealous and possessive as they merge their identity with the people they've chosen. Ironically, they can be both serial daters, constantly breaking off relationships in the earliest stages, or perpetually single because no one is ever good enough. Sexual ones use their keen eye for flaws to control their partners with constant criticism. And at lower levels of health, sexual ones become frightened by relational freedom, so they obsess over their partner's activities and constantly check in on them. This is exacerbated if they're a one with a 2 wing. Much like the self-preservation instinct can swing between periods of intense dieting and binge eating garbage food, so does the sexual one swing between lavish sexual activity and then strict suppression of their sexual desires. Ultimately, though, sexual ones are highly capable of building the most committed, enduring relationships once they find a sense of security in their own sexual identity. All right, those are the Enneagram instincts for type 1 reformers. Next up are the triads.